Close your eyes for a moment. The person you were 10 years ago is gone. The body you had as a child no longer exists. The thoughts you obsessed over yesterday have already dissolved. So tell me, if everything about you keeps disappearing, what exactly is dying? And when death finally arrives, what truly ends? You are afraid of death. But what if you are already dying every second? And what if rebirth is not something that happens after death, but something that is happening right now? Stay with me, because what you are about to understand may permanently change the way you see yourself and the way you live. From the moment you were born, you were taught that death is the end. A black wall, a full stop, a tragic erasure of everything you are. Society treats death like a malfunction, something unnatural, something to resist, something to avoid thinking about. But Zen Buddhism never saw death that way. In Zen, death is not destruction, it is transition. Ancient teachers like Dogen described birth and death as a single continuous movement, like waves rising and falling in the same ocean. We assume consciousness is produced by the brain. We assume that when the brain stops, everything stops. But pause for a moment. Before your brain formed in the womb, where were you? Before your name, before your personality, before your story, something was already unfolding. Zen does not describe a permanent soul traveling from body to body. It describes process. You are not a thing, you are an event. Zen teaches anatta, no fixed self. Look carefully. Where is the you are trying so hard to protect? Is it your body? Your body has replaced nearly all its cells over time. Is it your thoughts? They shift constantly. Is it your personality? That has changed more than you realize. The you defend is a pattern, a temporary arrangement of memory, emotion, and habit. Like a whirlpool in water, it looks solid, but remove the movement and nothing remains. You are not a statue carved in stone. You are a current flowing through conditions, and currents do not end, they transform. Here is the deeper truth most people avoid. Death is not something waiting in the future, it is happening now. Each breath dies as it leaves your body. Each second vanishes the moment it appears. The person you were 5 minutes ago no longer exists. And yet, you do not mourn that version of yourself. Why? Because change feels manageable when it is gradual. Death feels terrifying only because it appears absolute. But Zen invites you to look closer. There is no absolute break, only transformation. In Tibetan Buddhist teachings, especially the Tibetan Book of the Dead, death is described as a passage through the bardo. The bardo is not a physical place. It is a state of consciousness between lives. When the body shuts down, the elements dissolve. The earth element, your sense of solidity, fades. The water element, fluid sensation, dissolves. The fire element, warmth, disappears. The air element, breath, weakens. The space element, boundaries, collapse. For an untrained mind, this can feel chaotic and frightening. For a prepared mind, it feels like release. Then something extraordinary occurs, the clear light. Pure awareness without identity, no name, no history, no story, just luminous presence. This moment offers the greatest opportunity for liberation. If recognized, it ends the cycle of rebirth. But most beings cannot remain in that awareness. Habit pulls them back. Desire pulls them forward. Fear contracts the mind, and consciousness continues. Like a flame passed from one candle to another. Not the same flame, not entirely different either. Continuity without permanence. Karma is often misunderstood. It is not cosmic reward or punishment. It is momentum. Every repeated thought becomes easier to think again. Every emotional reaction carves a deeper groove. Imagine rolling a ball down a hillside. The deeper the groove, the harder it becomes to change direction. At death, consciousness flows along its deepest patterns. This determines the conditions of rebirth.
Not judgment, not divine decision, just continuity of mental habit. And here is the unsettling realization. You are building that momentum right now, with every reaction, every resentment, every act of compassion. Pause for a moment. If your consciousness continues beyond this life, what are you strengthening today? Fear, anger, kindness, awareness? Because whatever becomes strongest carries forward. If rebirth happens to everyone, why don't we remember? Because identity is loud, consciousness is vast, but personality narrows perception. Researchers like Ian Stevenson and Jim B. Tucker at the University of Virginia documented thousands of cases of children recalling verifiable details from previous lives, names, places, circumstances of death. As children grow and identify more strongly with their current personality, these memories fade. Meditation works in the opposite direction. As identity softens, awareness expands. And sometimes echoes surface. Unexplained fears, instant connections, natural talents that seem older than this lifetime. Even without memory, the patterns remain. You believe you fear death, but what you truly fear is dissolution. You fear losing control. You fear losing your story, but your story changes every day. Death is not the first time you will disappear. It is simply the largest transformation of pattern. Zen practitioners contemplated impermanence constantly, not to become morbid, but to become free. When you deeply understand that nothing is fixed, clinging begins to loosen. And when clinging loosens, fear weakens. When you truly grasp rebirth, everything changes. Time expands. This life becomes one chapter, not the entire book. Responsibility deepens. Your actions echo beyond this moment. Fear softens. Death becomes a doorway, not a wall. Compassion grows. Relationships feel less random, more interconnected. Priorities shift. Wealth, status, and possession lose their illusion of permanence. Awareness becomes central, because when the body falls away, only consciousness continues. Here is the most radical truth of all. You are not a separate being moving through existence. You are existence expressing itself. Forms arise, forms dissolve, awareness remains. When you sit quietly and observe your mind, you begin to see this directly. Thought arises and passes, emotion arises and passes, identity arises and passes. What remains is witnessing, and that witnessing does not feel personal. It feels vast, open, unbounded. If death is certain and consciousness continues, then this moment matters more than you realize. Not because of fear, but because of continuity. The quality of awareness you cultivate now shapes what unfolds next. You cannot control when death comes, but you can influence how you meet it. And perhaps the deepest liberation is this. The moment you stop clinging to permanence, you stop fearing change. And when you stop fearing change, death loses its power over you. Because you finally see, nothing truly ends. It transforms.